we're going to be talking about some tag titles. Your very first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's been 25 years since 1997? It does not for me.
In some ways, it feels like it's been a blink of an eye. But in other ways, I have to go back and realize 25 years. I've got a lot of anniversaries coming up. Technically, this was my first WrestleMania because I debuted the day after WrestleMania 1996. We've already covered the whole idea. I got my information package that said Mutilator on it. WrestleMania then is not what it is now.
Right.
It's not WrestleMania week. It was WrestleMania weekend. You'd get there probably on a Thursday. And then you were off to the next town on a Monday. You didn't come back and do the same city like you do now, which is great for the men and women. I have to resist the urge to say it's great for the guys. So if I say guys from this moment on, the guys is collective
guys and gals
of everybody in the dressing room. And that was always really difficult to peak for emotionally for your WrestleMania match. Get back in your car either that night or the next day. Usually you drive the next day because of the post-WrestleMania party. But the party made it even more difficult because now you have to try to peak after the party where you've had the world's best shrimp cocktail, a directive of Mr. McMahon. And so it is a better deal today for the guys and women in the dressing room. But WrestleMania was still a big deal. I watched the first one. I watched 96 from the crowd. Saw Brett and Shawn Iron Man.
How did you watch it from the crowd? Throw a baseball hat on?
Well, I had the baseball hat on. And also, I don't think as many WWF fans were as familiar with Cactus Jack as you might think.
Right.
There were some crossover fans, but it was this 1996. I'd estimate about 25% of the WWF fans. The internet. Well, there wasn't really an internet fans, but you're talking about your sheet readers, your insiders. They knew. I'd say about 25% of the audience knew. And I think I went up there and watched from the crowd just for that final match. And because that's the match everyone wanted to see, they're not focused on you. And I think I was on the hard camera area where the WWF will put friends and family.
Right.
But it wasn't a situation where you had a suite filled with 100 people.
Right.
It was just me and somebody who worked in PR at the time. And we took in I've always loved to watch the big matches in person.
It's different.
So even when I was the commissioner, the GM, if something was big, I would go out there so I could absorb the atmosphere.
And feel it.
Yeah, I'd be part of it.
So I'm glad we're talking about it. Eventually, we probably were bound to, but I've developed a reputation online for hating that match. And I love Shawn Michaels. I love Bret Hart, the Iron Man match. But that WrestleMania 12 match, I just feel like the concept of it being an Iron Man match made it less fun for me. I think some of the fun of wrestling is he going to hit his big move? This could be it.
Yeah.
And the edge of the seat anticipation is gone if I know, well, just watch the last 5 minutes and you got it. And so I found myself fast forwarding that match to the end. And I missed a lot of great action. I missed a lot of great stuff. But I just think from a psychology standpoint of taking the fans on a ride of, oh, he got it. No. Because even if he does, it ain't over.
Yeah.
And the idea that it could end at any minute, I think the Iron Man stipulation is maybe the worst. No, I don't mean the silliest, like so-and-so on a pole, Judy Bagwell on a pole or whatever. But the Iron Man thing, I think any other stipulation would have made that match more enjoyable. What say you?
An hour is a long time for all but the most diehard fans. Hour is a long time.
Yeah.
So I look at like the NXT Classic that Bayley and Sasha had.
Yes.
30 minutes. I like a 30-minute Iron Man.
Yeah.
Iron Woman. I also think I would have liked to have seen more falls.
Yes.
The 1-0. Oh, man. I'd like to see 3-2. I don't know what it was like behind the scenes, if both men were resistant to losing a fall, or if they thought that would make the one less meaningful.
Maybe.
I would say that in soccer and for the international audience, football, I'd rather see a 3-2 game than a 1-0 game.
Yes.
I don't think it reduces the importance of the 3 and the 2. I remember when I was in WCW, we had like a Texas death match type of tag team match in Chicago at the UIC Pavilion. And that was a pretty strong market for us. And it was me and Rick Rude against Sting and Ricky Steamboat. And so we're talking some major talent out there, and me, right? But we started to try to put something together, and came to the Falls, and nobody really wanted to drop a fall. And I was like, you can beat me as many times as you want, because I'm going to continue to get up, and that will only make... I don't know if I shared that with the guys, my feeling like, go ahead, pin me 5 times.
So I'm not staying down.
That means I will get up 4 times. And so I hate to think that ego got in the way of that. I thought it was a great match.
Oh, for sure.
Great match. I love the super kick on the... was it the timekeeper?
It looks like he put all of it into that super kick, too.
Probably did, right?
Yeah.
Probably, you relieve the recipient of the need to know how to sell by putting all of it into there. You take that out of his hand. And so I thought it was a great match, and it was built up the childhood dream, and Sean had the amazing entrance.
It was a moment, for sure.
Yeah, I think, maybe they would have been better served by a different stipulation.
It feels like to me if it was a 3-0 Super Bowl, like a great defensive battle Super Bowl, but when it was over, people would say, well, that sucked. I'd rather it be 27-24.
Yeah.
It's still a 3-point victory, but let's put some points on the board. I'm with you. But I do like your approach from, hey, beat me 4 times. I'm going to keep getting up. But that makes you look like a Superman, right? You just keep
I felt about it. I was surprised that I didn't have more cooperation. And so that was the night of many defeats for me, and I felt like it only made me stronger.
When do you think that changed in the business, or has it changed? Because it does feel like wins and losses in time, everybody sort of to come around to your way of thinking.
Well, you can't get beaten like a drum continually. The message has to be sent from the company in some way that this is a guy worth paying attention to.
Right.
And you've seen, like I feared, just going back a few weeks, Finn Balor came out without music on Raw. And I went, oh, God. That's the problem with having a great entrance, is that when you no longer have a great entrance, a major arrow's been taken out of your quiver. And so I was shocked when he actually won the title from Damian Priest. But there's an example of, oh, man, they took that big entrance away from him. That's a signal to the fans that we're not supposed to take him as seriously, when in truth it was probably just a timing deal, especially given that he won the championship. But when I went into WWF at the time, let's call it what it was, right? I think you're allowed to preface the thing at the time. There was still the old timer feeling that you can't get beaten on television. Mm-hmm. That Honky Tonk Man probably this day believes you can't get beaten on TV. And I remember Harley saying to me to watch it because I was losing a lot. He said, you have to watch those wins and losses. And then you also get yourself in a position like when I was in TNA and then switched over and did a few matches with WWE from 2005, 2008, did a handful of matches. TNA, I did, a handful of pay-per-views and some TVs. And there was a young man, Chris Giordano, who lived in Seaford, New York, who I actually name-dropped on Raw. And WWE wanted to know about this guy. Like, what's this? Well, he was a young man with cerebral palsy, and I used to go with my kids to his house, and we watched the pay-per-views, and he had an elevator, and my kids, that might as well have been at an amusement park, because they love going up and down in the elevator. And so Chris would get concerned about my matches and get upset when I lost, until his dad told me he came to realize that I always lost. So that he wasn't as upset about it. And I think that's where you run the danger. If you're no longer a threat to win, and you can't help people suspend their disbelief because they know, or at least they feel and have reason to feel, that you are going to lose that match, that's not good. But I think things started to change when the wrestling wars heated up, when there was more of an emphasis on good matches taking place on a regular basis, because most of the viewers had grown up in an atmosphere where they watched squash matches.
Yes, absolutely.
And a win was a win, and a loss was a loss. There was really no gray area. There were top guys. There was enhancement talent. There were gray area guys. Like when I was growing up watching WWF, it was like an SD Jones might score a victory, and as he got older, as some of the guys got older, like Chief Jay Strongbow, you'd see, an instant spark, and you'd see the sleeper hold, and then the match would be over fairly quickly. But he was still Chief Jay Strongbow.
That's right.
So, but I think when the wars heated up, and you had to put good matches on a regular basis, there was more of you could accept that good wrestlers could lose matches. And I think as you ingratiated yourself, and hopefully that's the right name, as you made yourself part of someone's Monday night or Tuesday, whatever the case might be, and they felt like they knew you, in some cases, losing could actually help you.
Yeah.
I think you go back to when Becky Lynch had her big breakthrough when she attacked Charlotte. And somebody in the house, I think I was with my family, I don't know who I was watching the pay-per-view at which house. It might have been at Chris's house. Somebody said, "Why are they saying you deserve it to Charlotte?" They were chanting. I said, "No, I think they're chanting you deserve it to Becky." I said, "Well, what does she deserve?" I said, "I think they understand that this is a moment, that this is a push." And so you do get that goodwill accrued from being treated. I think it's a fine line, because you're not doing as well as the company's not treating you as well as you feel that talent should be treated. You're on one side of the line. Getting beaten like a drum, you're on the other side, and then you lose that emotional connection to that person, and you cast them off. I think in the same reason why when you're a young man or young woman and you have crushes and you're falling in love for the first time, you don't put your heart out there if you know it's going to get stomped on.
Yes.
Right? You'll take a chance in love if you think there's a reason. And this is probably a foolhardy, comparison, because men and women in love do ridiculously dumb things.
Yes.
But there are times when you don't put your heart out of the line because you know it's going to get crushed.
Right.
So you don't make that emotional connection with that character, or you lose that emotional connection because you know you're going to get hurt in the long run.